Good morning, my Teaserking family. I hope everybody is well. Back for some more fun. All right, so I got baseball picks. We're going to look at college football, and I got just some gold news and just economic news that I think is very important. Um, First, why don't we do the baseball first since the games are starting? It's 11:30 here. They don't start till 1:10. We got plenty of time. All right, Cleveland, Tampa, Plosick, 2-8 with a 409 against Corey Kluber, 6-6 with a 391. Again, like it's there's a few pitchers like Kluber and Baumgartner. You don't know what to do because they're not the way they used to be. So they're like he's 6-6 with a 391. So this game I'm really throwing out over under 7.5 again. Doesn't really match, but these are the games that are getting me in trouble. I don't know if the pitchers are going to throw. The pitchers with a 4 should not be throwing shutouts, but they do. So you just don't know. All right, our first game, the Yankees against Kansas City. Over under 9, you got Jonathan Heasley, 1-5 with a 550 against Nestor Cortez, 8-3 with a 248. Now I know it's a big line, 350. But I love the Yankees here. I mean, they're clearly just the pitching matchup. But see, when you're a good team, you got a lot of good pitchers. They happen to have they have 3 or 4 good pitchers with good ERAs. That's why they're over under. That's why they're lined so much. But what are you going to do with it? Great hitting, great team. Yeah, you got to lay, but if it's a winner, who cares? I mean, okay, I got to lay a little bit, but I don't know why everybody's like negative. Well, I don't want to lay 350 to win 100. But you're going to win the 100. That's the point. So try not, and I get it. Or maybe we put it in a 2-team parlay teaser, whatever you call it in baseball. Football, this would have been a 20-point line, and we maybe would not have played it. But baseball is different. There's no line. It's just win the game. So that's what makes it more intriguing. Detroit at Toronto. Detroit won yesterday. Drew Hutchinson, 1-4, the 484 against Ross Stripling, 5-3 with the 310. No idea. Detroit, very inconsistent. Toronto, good hitting team. Detroit with a very good bullpen, but no starters. So they used to have Verlander and Price and Scherzer with no bullpen. Now the Tigers have no starters with a great bullpen. So it's very confusing because this Hutchinson might pitch 2 or 3 innings, give up 2 or 3 runs, and then they get shut out the rest of the game, which is making the overs and unders an impossibility with the Detroit team because they can't hit to save their lives. So I'm gonna leave that alone. Milwaukee, Boston, Eric Lawler from Milwaukee, 6-3 with the 384 against Nick Pivetta for Boston, 8-7 with the 435. I would say this should be an over game, but I'd play it light. So let's go Boston over 9.5. And these 9.5s have been coming up 9s a lot. So they're getting better adjusted to the scoring. So they'll make a 9.5 line, and the game's a 9 or a 10, which we have to be careful of. Excuse me. So let's go over because at Boston, and they are a great hitting team anyway, but their pitching's kind of weak. The Mets in Miami. Now, I had Miami yesterday with Alcantara, and they sucked. So I don't know. I mean, this is why it's hard to listen to people. Alcantara, with his low ERA, he sucks. So I don't get it. I like McCullough and I like Verlander. Now, I did lock Verlander yesterday and win. So that was an easy one because it's, the Verlanders are no-brainer. Oh, he's pitching and it's not a real good pitcher. It's a lock. Take Verlander. And he comes through. These other guys, Alcantara, you just don't know what you're getting. Even with his low ERA, he's young and he's, getting tired probably. So you get more tired in baseball because pitching takes a lot out of you. I don't agree with 100 pitches. I think it could be about 200 pitches. I used to pitch. I didn't get tired. I could go 3 times through the lineup. And there's not that many good pitchers. So I think you start seeing the runs scored now. It's warmer weather. The ball carries more. Carlos Carrasco for the Mets against Nick Needler, who has no ERA, no wins and losses. So he's a minor leaguer, or he was injured, but I never heard of him. Over under of 8. I honestly don't know. I would probably take this game over just because the Mets hit the ball well. Miami seems to hit it well, and it's going to be hot, although it's the 6 o'clock start. So I would probably take this game over. Let's go Miami. The New York Mets over 8. That seems like a low number with a 4 ERA pitcher against a no ERA pitcher. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Wasn't this a World Series in the 70s, I thought? Over under of 9. Dean Creamer for Baltimore, 3-2 with the 306, and Tyler Mayhell for Cincinnati, 4-7 with the 448. Now, it's ironic because both teams are playing much better than their record. Baltimore just swept the Yankees. They're playing great ball. Cincinnati's was like 2-11 or something, and they're 38-6-1. They're not great, but they are playing good ball. I like this game over because both teams are really hitting. So let's go Baltimore over 9 in Cincinnati, small ballpark. They should score a lot. Again, I mean, Dean Kremer could throw a shutout. Tyler Mayhell 4-7 with a 4.48 ain't going to throw a shutout, but that's what's happening. So you'll see 6 hits and 1 run by a guy with a 5 ERA, and you're like, well, what the hell? But again, it's an average, and again, it depends on the matchup. Seattle at Houston. We got Flexen 7-8, 3.75 against Valdez 9-4 to 2.74. Seattle's got to be all screwed up after facing Verlander and basically losing like 11-1, or that was the late score. So they're really, after you face Verlander, your confidence goes. You go, shit, I can't hit, man. I couldn't hit Verlander. Here comes another guy. So I like Houston in this game. Just take Houston with the 2.74. Probably a low-scoring game. Over under of 8. You can go either way, but I'll take Houston after the Verlander and at home. Oakland and Chicago. Blackburn for Oakland, 6-6 with a 4.35 against Johnny Cueto, 4-4 the 2.89. He's been good except for last game. He fell apart. So I don't know what you get. These are both, Blackburn used to be like really good, and now he sucks. And that's what happens in baseball. It's like anything that once they figure you out, you have to adjust. Baseball is hard because the pitcher throws his pitches. Once you learn, he throws a fastball and he doesn't have a slider or whatever it is, then you figure it out. You're like, oh, okay, now we know how to hit him, but he can't make the adjustment because he only knows how to throw a fastball and a slider or a changeup, whatever he's got. That's all he's got. So once you figure him out, he's in big trouble, and Blackburn's in big trouble. I don't like the game. Over unders 8. Oakland can't hit. Chicago can when they want to. They should hit Blackburn. Cueto, who knows? He could shut you out. 2.89 ERA. So it's a real hard one. I'm gonna let that go. St. Louis and Washington. I had St. Louis yesterday with their ace on the mound. Easy winner. Now they go with Dakota Hudson, 6-6 with the 4.10, and Eric Fields, 5-7 with the 4.95. This game should go over. St. Louis has their starters back in. Apparently they were injured or sitting out against Washington. Over under 10's high. Both pitchers stink. 4.10 against 4.95. So let's go over St. Louis, over 10. Philly and Pitt. Rangers Suarez 7-5 with a 3.84 for Philly, and Mitch Keller 3-7 with a 4.55. It's over under 7.5. Oh my God, I don't understand it. Pittsburgh does not hit well. When you look at the batting lineups, the box scores, you're like, this guy doesn't hit 200, this guy doesn't, and you got like 5 guys in the lineup that don't hit 210, and you're like, how are these guys in the major leagues? It's unbelievable. This is the problem with Moneyball. Oh, he'll walk. Well, I don't want a guy I want a guy who hits 290, 300. I don't want a guy who hits 180, but he gets 5 walks, because when I got a runner on third, I need a guy who can hit the ball, not a guy who can walk, because I can't win getting runs with walks. So it's bullshit, this walk stuff. So I just can't buy Pittsburgh at all with that. I don't know. I don't like the game. Maybe a little edge to Philly, but I'm not really playing it. The Vikings and the Chargers, a nice interconference game. Over under 7.5. Sonny Gray for the Vikings, 5-3 at the 3.52. Joe Musgrave for the Chargers, 8-3 at the 2.63. The over under on the game, 7.5. So do with it what you will. I don't trust that it's an under, even though it should be an under. I mean, Joe Musgrave, 8-3 with a 2.63 should automatically. You either taking San Diego, but Sonny Gray's got a 3.52, so you should go under 7.5. But these are the games where they're getting 10 runs in it, and the 5 pitchers are getting the 1-0 games. So a lot of inconsistency here. I would give a slight edge to the under, but it's 7.5. Slight edge to San Diego, but again, and this is the game that'll, of course, easy win, San Diego 2-0. But I'm just gonna stay away from it. Arizona, Atlanta, over under 10. Jesus Christ. Corbin Martin, 0-0 of the 3.93 for Arizona against Ian Anderson, 8-6 with 5.31. I can see why it's an over 10, but I can't go over 10 in Atlanta, maybe Colorado or Boston. But in Atlanta, is it that much of a hitter's ballpark where they're just scoring? Atlanta's much the better team, but they don't have much the better pitcher. Their pitcher's 8-6 with the 5.31. I can't get on Atlanta, yet they're a 2.25. They're a 20-point favorite, and they don't have a good pitcher. So I don't buy this at all. I can't play that game. That line's way off. The Dodgers at Colorado, Clayton Kershaw, 7-2, 2.49 against Freeland. 5-7 with the 4.64. Can you believe the over-under is 11 with Kershaw on the mound and Freeland, who's 4.64? I think you just play the Dodgers and Kershaw, but it's 2.25, so it's extremely it's way overvalued. He's not that good. He always chokes in the big games, but they do seem to score a lot of runs when he pitches. So this is take the Dodgers, but I don't really trust Kershaw. He's a Matt Stafford guy, and I don't trust that. The Cubbies against the 49ers, over under 8. Drew Smiley, 3-5 with a 3.93 for the Cubbies. Jacob Junis, 4-2 with a 2.98 for the Giants. Probably an under, but again, this is one of those games. Okay, let's take the 49ers under. Under 8. I mean, 2 decent. Well, Smiley, I don't know. Maybe you take the 49ers. It's a real hard play. You look at Smiley with a 3, but then it's 3.93, so it's really a 4, and it's really a 3 against the 4. So I'm going to cancel the under. Let's just take the Niners. We'll just take San Francisco with the 4-2 with the 2.98 ERA at home. We'll see. And then the last game is Texas and California. Over under 8.5. We got Glenn Otto, 4-7 with the 5.37 ERA for Texas. Chase Silseth, 1-5 with a 5. Both these guys have 5 ERAs. This is an over, so let's go Texas over 8.5. I don't see a lock. I don't see a Verlander. So let's run through the games real quick. We got the Yankees, Boston over 9.5. The Mets over 8. Baltimore over 9. Houston, St. Louis over 10. The Dodgers, the 49ers, Texas over 8.5. And keep in mind, we aren't playing these really strong. These are just if you need some action, but football's really our bread and butter. Hi, Nick. The C Silver bump up a little after the recession news. Taking Dodgers, Yankees today with Kershaw and Cortez. Also just played Utah money line over Florida. Line will move. Oh, okay, college football. Okay. I was just watching our friend Alistair McLeod on his good gold from the vault from Australia. And here's the thing, Nick and everybody. So what he says, they asked him, point out, why isn't gold and silver much higher? And he basically said 2 reasons. One, you've got all these. First of all, it's not an investment. It's a safety. You're buying gold and silver because you're afraid the dollar and the Canadian dollar and all the currencies, which are fiat, which are printed, are going to lose their value, which is what is exactly happening. Secondly, he says, really, they don't go up. It's the currency getting killed. So, the financial planner, so if you go to your financial planner, he'll never tell you to buy gold, nor will he buy it. Secondly, if they want you in gold, they'll buy the paper gold, which is not gold, and that will go under also because it's not real. As I've taught, it's paper. You don't really own the gold. So what'll happen is gold's real money and it will go up. So don't get caught in the COMEX prices. I keep saying this. So yes, Nick, it's gone up, but it's just being played with. Don't even look at that price. It's not real. What you look at is the value of the dollar dropping. And he said, don't worry about these interest rates. They can't go on much higher because it'll bankrupt the country because then everything gets more expensive. There's a whole bunch of banking issues that I'm not really strong in the banking stuff. This guy's a banker and he says they can't afford it. So it'll basically break the country if they keep raising interest rates. So they can't keep raising them. They might go one more time, then they'll make some excuse saying, it looks like everything's fine now, so we're good. And that will basically end that. And at that point, there's one of three things that are going to happen. The Taiwan, the U.S. goes to Taiwan, China invades Taiwan, the U.S. and China have their football game, and gold will go through the roof. So some event will happen. You have all this, we know the inflation, the stock market's going to crash because costs are going up because of the dollar. Really, it's all the dollar being devalued. That makes the costs go up. So when they're saying this bullshit about, well, people won't demand and, people won't have money, so they can't demand, so the price will drop. It's bullshit. That's not anything to do with anything. So that's the other point. So it's really just this event, U.S. versus China. I'll take China lay 7 in that game, especially with Biden as our coach. That's big trouble. That will raise anything like that. China's got big problems. In an article I saw yesterday, and I sent it to my friends, and here's basically what it said. Evergrande, which is the big Chinese real estate developer, misses deadline for $300 billion debt restructuring plan. Chinese real estate developer update lacks concrete proposal for investors on liabilities. An Evergrande housing complex in Beijing, around $20 billion of the company's $300 billion in liabilities are held by international investors. So what that means is the U.S. people, the Japan, the Germans, and the Chinese all have money into this. They can't get their money back. So they're all hurting financially because this Evergrande is fucked up. They didn't build, they got money, they didn't build the apartments. And with all the other issues of not letting people into the banks and not letting, and nobody paying their mortgage, China's fucked. I mean, China's in deep trouble, but they have the gold. We know the Russian war, but they are letting some of the grains go through apparently, which will be good because really the Ukraine grain goes to Egypt. It doesn't really come to us. We have our own sources, but it goes to the Egypt and that whole area, Iraq, Iran, the Middle East gets the Ukraine grain. Otherwise, they can't eat. Then I saw another interesting article, as long as we're talking economics. And this goes right up about my marketing. So, what do I tell you? I tell you we're the market. What does that mean? We control the prices. And if we don't want something, we don't. Well, look what happened. Many restaurant chains like McDonald's and Chipotle noticed revenue slowing down since May 22. A spokesperson for Chipotle stated that since prices went up at the shop, many customers with less money to spend haven't been in regular attendance. Stores like Chipotle rely on lower-income Americans to make their money, but if the prices are too high for the average consumer, then sales will inevitably decline as gas, ingredients, and transportation prices skyrocketed. Many fast food chains had to adjust their prices to account for climbing expenses. In turn, customers have had to pay more for their usual fast food, which is centered mainly from notable inexpensive chains like McDonald's. In English, what that means is exactly what I've been saying, which is we are the market. If you make ribs $15 a pound and I say, I'm not buying it, you can't sell it, you're fucked. You bought all this inventory of ribs, but you mark them more than we want to pay for them, they're not going to move. If you have McDonald's stocks, sell it. It is going to get crushed because they have all this inventory of meat and fries and everything else, and they've made their prices too much. Now, I don't ever go to McDonald's, Wendy's, Taco Bell. I cook my own food. It's much healthier, and I want to be healthy. And they're all going to get crushed because this is why the stock market is going to start crashing, which it already has. You've seen Microsoft laying off people, Facebook laying off people, Tulsa, and it hasn't even hit yet. Well, those people now are out of work. They can't afford the same things they could when you're making 150,000. All of a sudden you're down. And if you have savings in US dollars, you're really fucked because that value is dropping. And that's what it's basically saying. All these other costs aren't going up. This is proof that the dollar's being devalued. Answer your question, Nick and Andrew and everybody else going, why the fuck isn't my gold and silver going up? It's because it's being suppressed because the Keynesians, and we're Austrians, it's the style of economics. I'm free market, let the market control everything. And they're socialists. They want the government to control everything. That's the difference. And we know socialism doesn't work. You let the market dictate. You buy what you want to buy at the price you want to buy it. If it's too high, you go somewhere else. That's the market. That's what works for the last 2,000 years. So the reason it hasn't gone up is because people are either buying paper or all the investment advisors are saying, no, we'll buy Microsoft stock. We'll buy Amazon stock. We'll buy Apple. We don't want that. And that's what's happening. But eventually, as the dollar keeps losing value, everybody's going to run into gold. Everybody's going to run into silver. And Nick, that is when you're going to see $2,000 an ounce silver and $50,000 an ounce gold, because there's not that much gold out there for the public. The central banks are buying it. Well, why are they buying it if it's useless? If it's not a good thing? It's the only real money, and it's a real asset, and it goes up. But they're manipulating it down so you stay in dollars. That's the reason it isn't going up, because the interest isn't enough, except for the central banks. But what do you hear? Oh, don't buy gold. Gold, look at gold prices going down. Why would you buy it? So most of the population's ignorant, going, oh yeah, gold doesn't go up. It's not an investment. It's not a stock. It's money. It's security. It's, do I hold 100,000 US dollars or Canadian dollars, or do I buy 60 ounces of gold? Well, the money's going down. It's been going down. Look what's happening, right? I just read you McDonald's. The prices are up. The transportation's up. All those costs are up. They're not. This is going down. Well, what happens to this? This should be going through the roof, but because it's suppressed, people aren't running to it now, but they will, because they're running to stocks, they're running to dollars. But as they see the dollar dropping to nothing, then they're going to start running with whatever they have left in the gold, and that's when it goes through the roof. So it's not a stock, and don't worry about it, Nick. Don't worry at $20. It's going to be 2,000. It's going to be the next 6 months, I think, because especially if we have a war with China or just all this tension. You got the war in the Ukraine. You've got all these issues, and you've got the inflation, and the key is the inflation. This is why the stock market's going to crash, because costs go up, but you can't always pass them on. Everybody thinks, Well, the cost of the hamburger at McDonald's went up, so they're just going to charge more. Well, look what happens. People say, that's too much. I'm not going to do it. I can still go to a nice grocery store and buy my ground sirloin, 3 pounds, and it's still $5 a pound. Why should I pay $10 for a hamburger at McDonald's or Wendy's when I can buy a pound for $5 and make 4 hamburgers out of it? So instead of paying $40, I pay $5, make 4 hamburgers that are much better, much healthier, and then off I go. And I mean, that's the key. And you buy your steaks. I bought a sirloin for $7.99. They always have something a little cheaper, and you just avoid the expensive stuff because it's not worth it. I can eat this steak. Or what I do is I buy a nice roast that's $6 and like a London broil roast, and it's 3 pounds, and I roast it, and then that's my hamburgers, and it costs me $6 a pound for 3 pounds, and you bake it for an hour in the oven. It's really easy, which I learned. I never knew how to really make a roast before, and I never got into baking. It was always barbecue, but tastes great. You season it up right, little Italian dressing, salt, pepper, and a little other stuff, and off you go. Anyway, that's what you do, and I like I said, I haven't been to McDonald's or Wendy's, but I lost my weight. My blood pressure's good. Everything's good. I'm very healthy. So that's what you have. So that's really what's going on. So gold and silver is going to go through the roof because of the dollar deteriorating to nothing. And since it's priced in dollars, so now it's $1,800. As Nick's pointed out, $20 silver. That's in dollars, but since the dollars become weaker, this should be much higher. And they're holding it down, or the interest isn't there because they don't know. Very few people got taught the way I got taught. Not only do I know football and baseball, well, football, but I know economics because I got lucky that I got taught Austrian economics in my master's program. So it taught me that. Most people, I didn't know before then. That's what it was. They don't teach it because they don't want you to know. The government's print, and then they'll tell you the song and dance, and you believe it. So that's what's really happening. So again, China's fucked, Japan's fucked, Europe's fucked, Germany's the ECB. Don't worry about this. Oh, they're going to raise interest rates a quarter point. Like that's going to stop inflation. You keep printing, it's not going to stop it. The fact interest rates go up, it's not going to stop gold because that'll be a bigger sign there is inflation, which is going to move it over. So when they say gold's down because the dollar's stronger against the yen and the euro, which are failing currencies going broke. So that's not a real encouraging sign. And then it's never going down. Who's selling gold to buy dollars? Are you kidding? They're inflating the hell out of the dollars. Anyway. So that's your little economics lesson. But I do want to point out the market, which McDonald's raises their price, are getting crushed because nobody's buying. It's too expensive, which is my point. So if you continue to not buy New York strip or sirloin at $15, $16, they have to lower the price. And that's what McDonald's is going to do. They're going to have to lower their price or go out of business. And I went to my rib place on Friday night. We're talking about it. And he said, well, I guess I'll have, I said, you can't make ribs. It's $29 for a slab. I go, you can't go to $40 a slab. You won't sell anything. He said, no, I have to close my business. I go, exactly. Or you have to figure out how to keep the price $29.95. So go ahead, be my guest, market $35. And see, nobody will buy it. It's too expensive. We got other costs to deal with. Plus, I'm not going to pay, I won't pay $15 for these ribs. I'm not going to pay $35 for a slab of ribs at this place. So it's the same thing. There's price points that we're conditioned, right? Gas at $5 is really not expensive because it's been held down. Like if we were to use gold for everything, it's really cheap, but we don't. But the idea is we're conditioned that gas should be $2.99 or $3.25. When it hits $5, we blow up because we're not conditioned. But that's not really a bad price considering it's been held down so much. And the same thing with everything else. You get conditioned to pay $2 for whatever, peanut butter, and then it goes to 4, and you're like, oh, I'm not paying. That's too expensive. Well, really, it's not, but you're not seeing the value of the dollar drop, and you're not seeing the printing, but that's how you see it. McDonald's has to raise it because it costs more because they're printing money. The more you print, the less it's worth. Nick, you're going to be a happy boy with your silver. I'm going to run out. I want to buy some more gold, but it's hard to 1,800 every time. So I'll probably go buy 20 ounces of silver for $600-700 after this, and just keep buying it. It's going to go through the roof. It's not when. It's not if. It's when. And you're seeing it. And you're seeing the problems with China, Japan. The yen's 135 going out. Germany going out. There's energy problems in Europe because Russia cut the gas. They cut the gas. So now it's like at night they're turning off the lights. It's insane, right? Where are we living? And it's crazy. So that's what's happening. So just be careful. Buy your gold and silver. Okay, let's go over baseball one more time. We're going to get to football. All right, the Yankees, Boston over 9.5. The Mets over 8. Baltimore over 9, Houston, St. Louis over 10, the Dodgers, the 49ers, and Texas over 8.5. That's today's games. No big lock. Don't bet it too high. Just have fun with it. Small bets. All right. My college football Bible. So let's do a few conferences with my notes as we get into it. So I like looking at this stuff, which basically tells me there's hidden secrets to this stuff. Here's the conference, and it kind of grades the different units, right? The quarterbacks, the running, the receivers. So what I look for in that, so let's take the Mountain West. Okay. Who's the best quarterback? Well, it looks like Fresno State, which we know, Hainer. Air Force runs the ball the best, but then Fresno State has the best receiver. So it looks like they're the over team, right? They got the best offense. And then you look at New Mexico, they're 12, 11, and 11. So New Mexico's got a terrible quarterback. They got a terrible offense. They're either going to be a Z team or an under team. Let's look at their defense. Their defense is 9, 8, and 6. Their defense sucks. They're the Z team. So without knowing anything, you look at this, and you can see New Mexico State right here is the Z team. They got this is just in conference. Then you can see here, this is Hawaii. You can see they suck. So you can see that. Then you look for the teams with the 1. So you can see Fresno State, probably the best team. Air Force, we know they're very strong. And then you get to Boise's fairly good all over the place. So it's going to be Fresno State and Boise. Without looking at anything, just looking at how they rank the conference. And again, take it with a grain of salt. They're ranking it, but okay. And you get a good idea. Now in the SEC, you've got Missouri's the Z team. You can see that. They're all 11s and 12s. Alabama, I kind of question, I think they're all 1s. Hey, Andrew. They're all 1s, but I don't buy Alabama. Here's Alabama's flaw, and this is why they have a hard time winning titles against good teams. Too much passing. When you pass the ball as much as you do, what have I taught you? It doesn't rest the defense, and it's hard to run. Now, Alabama has good running to go with their passing, so they can score inside the 10. The problem is because they pass and score quickly, they don't rest their defense. That's why Georgia beats them. And if we look at Georgia now, I don't agree with this. They have Georgia with the 6th best quarterback. That's ridiculous. This quarterback's fantastic. He won a title. I mean, how are you calling this guy? Who's better? Alabama? I disagree with because I think that's the concept. Number 2 is Tennessee. I do like him. Number 3 is Arkansas. I do like him. Number 4 is Mississippi State. I'm not quite sure. That's a Mike Leach thing. So, of course, whoever they put in, it's like plug and play, like I tell you about Alabama and Ohio State. They could bring out anybody, and he's going to look like a good quarterback. So this is what I have a problem with the Alabama and Ohio State. But Mississippi State's the thing. And then South Carolina, Rattler. You calling me Rattler's better than the guy on Georgia? No, thank you. Rattler was in a system. He sucked in the system, a lot of turnovers. I don't see him being any better. See, here's where it's very misleading. Let's look at South Carolina. So South Carolina, the quarterback's 5, which I don't believe, but then you get into a 12 running back, a 7, and then terrible defense. Well, I don't agree with this 5. I think he's a 10. I don't think Rattler's any good, so that makes really South Carolina a lot worse. They got a 13 O-line, a 12 D-line, an 11 linebacker. Well, the key to football is the lines, so they're going to suck. And again, you're putting them at 5. They're not. So I would put probably the Arkansas quarterback 1. I would then put the Tennessee quarterback 2 or 3, but right with the Georgia quarterbacks just as good. And that's where you got to read between the lines. Now, LSU, I totally disagree with this ranking. LSU's quarterback is nowhere near 11. All right. He's probably 3 or 4. He was really good and then he got hurt. And then are you kidding me? LSU, okay, 4-4, 10 in the defensive backfield, but then 9 running back. There's no way. See, this LSU, and then you got to remember you got Brian Kelly, is much better than what they're showing here. And here's where this is the Teaserking knowing his shit going, that's not, LSU will contend. They will be a top 10 team. I don't buy, their quarterback is not an 11. He's very strong. And I doubt their offensive line's 12. And I doubt their D-backs are 10. They always Patrick Peterson and the kid who got drafted number 3. There's no way that they're going to be that bad. So, again, I don't know where they're pulling their stats from here. And this is why you kind of look at it and you kind of, okay, but you got to know it. Vanderbilt is the Z team and Missouri's the Z team in this conference. So that's what I like looking at it. Now, it really comes in handy when you're looking at the Sun Belt because we don't know too much about the Sun Belt. It's not on TV. It's not Alabama and everything. So let's break down the Sun Belt off of this. The best team is usually Appalachian State or Louisiana Lafayette. Well, Louisiana Lafayette lost their quarterback, Levi Lewis. Should be in the NFL. I don't know if he got drafted or not. Then a team, James Madison, who's won the Division II, I guess, or 3, whatever, has joined. So they've never been in Division I. So this is going to be, we have no stats on them. This will be curious. This is like North Carolina or North Dakota State joining, the Mountain West. Would they be as good as they are in Division II? So as we look at it, the best quarterback we know is McCall, Coastal Carolina. You didn't need to tell us that. 2's App State, kid from Clemson, Chase Price. He's good. Georgia State, 3. They've been passing more. And then you got Texas State, 4. And then you've got Marshall, 5. Old Dominion, 6. Da-da-da-da-da. And the worst one is Georgia Southern because they run the fucking ball. They run an Army team. So to put Georgia Southern's quarterback 14 is ridiculous. Louisiana Lafayette, you don't know about their quarterback. They rank him 13. But Levi Lewis was good. Nobody knew him. Louisiana Monroe 12. Now, Louisiana Monroe looks like the worst team. Bunch of 13s and 14s. That's going to be our bitch. That's our Z team in this Sun Belt. So when App State plays them, mostly like Coastal Carolina with that great quarterback, they're going to score. Louisiana Monroe's the Z team. Vegas won't get it right. They'll be laying 20. That'll be our lock. That's what we're looking for. If Louisiana Monroe shows some passing, shows some offense, then it's an easy over. But that's what we're looking for. Arkansas State, an over team. Their defense is 13-12-13. Texas State, 12-10-12. Louisiana Monroe, 14-14-14. Old Dominion. So you get the picture. These are the bitches we like betting against with a good quarterback. Because the good quarterback, they can't stop him. He'll just score and score and score. That's not where the upset comes from. We know the upset comes from the Appalachian State with the 3-2-1 defense playing North Carolina, which they play week 1 or other division or other, I don't know. I don't even like the term Power 5, but if App State plays other teams, let's say they play a MAC team, that's where you get your upset because they got the defense. The upsets come from the defense because the defense can always stop the offense, right? Look at Georgia, Alabama. What did they do in the championship game? They shut them down. Georgia, Michigan, they shut them down. You couldn't do anything against the Georgia defense. That'll win the game. The quarterback was okay. I love Cook, the running back, and they had the great tight end. So they still had the great tight end and quarterback, and they replaced the running back. But when you got a defense, you can stop the other team. And that's where most of these upsets happen is the defense shuts you down. The Steelers in the 70s, the Niners won when they had great defenses. New England won only when they had great defenses, even though they had Brady. They went 10 years without winning the Super Bowl because they ran into Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and a couple times Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Denver with that defense when they sacked Brady like 20 times. I mean, how did Denver beat New England in the championship game? And then Seattle killed Denver, which I love. But look at Seattle. They had a great defense. You find that great defensive team, and that's where we make all our money. Because the quarterback can have a bad day. He can be fixed. You can't win by more than 7, much easier. You can't fix the defense. And it's just, if you find that defense, you can just keep betting on them. And if you don't trust the quarterback, you bet the under. If you trust the quarterback, you bet the team, as we did. And that's what we did last year. This pitch is Clemson. So when we look at Clemson this year, so when we look at Clemson, look at their defense, 1-2-1 in the ACC. Now the quarterback, how the quarterback's a 9 and not a 14 is beyond me. Good running back. So they're going to play Navy football, right? They're going to run the ball, and they got this hammer defense with 6 All-Americans on it. So their average score is going to be 17-0 every freaking week. If you can bet them to shut out teams, bet them to shut out teams. I know there's all these strange bets out there now. 3-inning baseball, 5 innings baseball. This guy hits a home run. I don't know. I hear all this crap. I don't pay attention to it because it's bullshit. But if you get a chance to bet Clemson to shut out an opponent, bet them. Unless it's, North Carolina State or Miami or Wake Forest. I'm kind of shocked Miami's quarterback Van Dyke's number 4 in the conference. Hartman number 1 at Wake Forest, and then NC State number 2. Okay, Leary's very good, but I think Van Dyke's better than Leary. So I think it's 1 and 2, Hartman and Van Dyke. And then so 3's Virginia. I don't buy that. Their quarterback's okay. Big Ten, Ohio State, again, I don't agree with that. Michigan 2. Purdue 3 at quarterback. Maryland 4. Tagliabue in a big game chokes. I like Michigan State's quarterback 5. Now the worst is Rutgers. Now Rutgers is the Z team here, right? 14, 13, 10, 13 on offense, 11, 13, 14 in the conference. So they're the Z team. So you can immediately identify the Z team. Then Indiana's a Z. Illinois is terrible. Maryland has good offense and a bad defense. That's our bitch for over. Anytime they play another good over team, we're going to, if they play Ohio State, Ohio State's going to score 50 points on them. Northwestern, another weak team. Now, Penn State's interesting, 6-5-4 and 4-5-3 defense. They're a good team, a solid team, not great. Purdue, good quarterback, no running apparently, which I don't know. Then they throw for running yards, and then their defense is 7-10-7. Weak linebackers, and that could be a little deceiving depending if they play 6 defensive backs. You don't have linebackers. Again, Wisconsin with a 9-ranked quarterback. Again, no quarterback, and they're going to run. They're a good Army. So that's what you have. That's one way of looking to get a quick. Who are these guys? Who's the best team in the conference? Sun Belt. Who the hell knows? Now we understand by looking at that. We can, and the most important is not to see the best team, to see the worst team. Louisiana Monroe is our bitch. We are going to bet heavy against them. They have no offense. They have no defense. And we'll get to them to see if they have a coach. So what I do is I go to my pages. If I can get to my pages. So let's go through the ACC. We're going to go through them. This is their prognostication. Excuse me. No. What am I? I'm working. I got to turn my phone off. I think it's my pet peeve is you're talking to somebody and the phone rings and they take the call and you're like, but you're talking to me. So you're disrespecting me, saying, well, you're not important. This call is more important than you. And I'm like, no, I don't. No. If I give you my attention right now, you're more important than the phone call. Or if the door rings, you're more important because we're talking. That's got the thing. So I hate when, something happens and then you're like, oh, wait, just give me a minute. I got to take the phone call. I mean, unless it's God telling me to buy gold today because it's going to 20,000. And the way it's going to happen, there'll be a reset. Friday, gold will be down. Monday, there'll be a reset. So you wake up Monday morning and gold was 1,900 is now 30,000. And you're just going to wake up and it's going to be there. So this is why I kind of panic and buy it while it's available because I know where it's going, right? I know Clemson's going to have a bunch of under, so I want to bet them under. I know where it's going, and I know gold's going to go through the roof. So I want to go to the gold store and say, give me a couple more ounces. Give me a couple more ounces because I know soon I'm going to go and either there's not going to be any ounces to buy or it's going to be $20,000 an ounce to buy because they fucked up the currency so bad. That's what it takes to buy it. That's why I kind of say, get out of your stocks, buy your gold now because we know where it's headed, right? And then that's why you better buy it before there isn't the inventory available. Right now, most people are sleeping, so they don't get it. But when the shit hits the fan, and it could be this China, Taiwan, USA thing, then when that shit hits the fan, then it's just going to boom. And the central banks have the incentive because they own most of the gold, right? They want it to go up. They make money on it. So right now it's being stuck in paper. But anyway, sorry for the sidetrack. So let's look at the ACC. So Cincinnati, now what's the problem with Cincinnati? They lost their quarterback. Ritter got drafted. Houston, UCF, SMU, East Carolina, and the worst being Temple. And see, I don't agree with Navy being bad, but the worst being Temple. So let's look here at the first couple of teams, right? So they give you the first teams. So there's Clayton Tune, supposedly the best quarterback at Houston. I'll make the judge of that. Tanner Mordecai at SMU, I think is better than Tune. And then Pratt at Tulane. Don't know. Then I look defensively. Cincinnati's got 3 guys on the first team. Again, this is in conference. They got 1 on the second team, and they got 3 more on the third team. So Cincinnati's got 7 defensive players in conference here. Okay, maybe that's good. Maybe that, again, that's here, not All-Americans. So if we want to look at the All-Americans, which I question how they come up with that before the season, if I look at the All-American, they got Bryce Young, the best quarterback. I totally disagree as the first team. But what I look for now in defense, I see Clemson with 1 guy. And then second team defense, I see Clemson with 1, 2 guys. That's 3. Third team, I see Clemson with 1, 2. I thought there was 3. Anyway, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I see 5. I thought I saw 6. I see 5 Clemson defensive players on the All-American team, not the conference All-American. I think 6 in conference. There's 5 Clemson players in the first 3 team All-Americans. That's significant. Now, where I disagree is like C.J. Stroud's the second string. I don't buy that. And Caleb Williams at USC, the kid from Oklahoma, I certainly don't buy that. So those three quarterbacks I disagree with. I think number one is Utah and number 1A is the Miami quarterback. Those are your best two quarterbacks. Then we'll have to find the third one's probably McCall at Coastal Carolina. And that's the problem I have when it's all Alabama, USC, Ohio State up there. So let's go through the AAC. Cincinnati, they got a new quarterback, strong offense. All 5 O-linemen are back, so it's going to be a lot of running, and they have a good defense. We make them an under team. They're probably an A team, but they're not going to really blow you out. So their first game's at Arkansas, and Arkansas are really good. I think Arkansas wins the game. I think their quarterback is going to be the difference. But Cincinnati's going to run, play defense. Their new quarterback is a senior, Ben Bryant. Oh yeah, he transferred in from he transferred in from Eastern Michigan. So he wasn't great at Eastern Michigan. He was okay. So at least that's what's happening now. The school graduates a quarterback. So instead of, working the freshman up, they're going, oh, this kid got beaten out at Eastern Michigan. I'll make him the quarterback. He just got beaten out at Eastern Michigan. How good is he? So they think he's good. See, here's the problem. They think because the guy played, he's got experience. Well, that doesn't mean he's any good. It just means they tried him and he sucked. And now he's not any good. That's why he transferred, because he's not starting. Why do I want a backup to start for my team? Do I think the backup's going to be good? I mean, this is the problem I have. So I don't think they're going to get much offense. I definitely like Arkansas in the first week, but so Cincinnati's going to be more of an under team, right? They're going to probably run a little bit more with the new quarterback, good running, and even the runner isn't that great, but their defense. So they know their strength is defense, so they're going to play to their defense. Try not to turn the ball over, kick a lot of field goals in the red zone, hence an under game. The Cincinnati under team. East Carolina, Army-like. What does that mean? Running quarterback, running offense. They're going from Ehlers, who's still there, Holton Ehlers. He was threw for 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. And they're going to play Army football, which is we're going to run and run and run, and the guy can throw a little bit. So obviously, he's not a great quarterback, but he's okay. They threw the ball a lot last year. Now they're going to go running. Well, the offensive line's going to have problems because you can't just go from a passing team to a running. The whole blocking scheme's different, right? Passing, you're kind of backing up and you're keeping people away. Running, you're running and you got to take guys out. It's a whole different skill set. So it's going to be hard for them. They've got 3 returning linemen, so it's going to be really hard for them. Look for East Carolina to be fairly weak and fairly under. So they play Cincinnati. It's going to be a low-scoring game. They do play the Navy. That'll be a low-scoring game. BYU, November 11th at Cincinnati. That's your under. Now, you're hoping to get a 55 on the game, and then it's a lock under. So the spread will determine if we lock it or not. But that's what we're looking for. East Carolina is going to play Army football. They're going to run. The question is, the defense is okay, 25, but when you're running, your defense is better because when you run, the ball's not in the other team's hands. Therefore, my defense looks better because they're not giving up as much points, and we're looking at points for defense. So if I got the ball, you don't. Now, the difference between baseball and football, obviously, baseball, when I'm batting, you can't score. Football, when I got the ball, you can intercept, or you can strip sack me, or you can score even though I've got the ball. It's that's the biggest difference in the two sports, obviously. But look for them to run and run and run, and then the defense will look better, but it probably isn't. But that's what you go. So then this turns into more of an under team, but they can throw. They could end up being more balanced depending on the success. But we got to watch the box scores. But right now, I got them noted as like an Army-type team, run the ball, play defense, a lot of running. So we'll keep an eye. But they do have a decent quarterback. Houston, running quarterback over team. No good wins. So they're trying to make Houston look like this good team. I looked at last year and I go, who did they beat? Rice, Grambling, Navy, Tulsa, Tulane, East Carolina in overtime, SMU. Okay, I give them a good run there. Temple. So they beat Tulsa, Tulane, Temple. They did beat Memphis and then UConn. And then they played Cincy and lost. And then they did beat Auburn, but Auburn didn't play Bo Nix. I don't know. No good wins. Well, I'll give them credit for SMU and Memphis. Those are good wins. So I have them as an A team. They scored 35 and gave up 20, and they can pass. Tune, 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Then the running back almost got 1,000 yards, which used to mean something when they played 12 games. Now the NFL, they play 17 games. I don't think 1,000 yards is. I think 1,500 is the big deal there. Here they play now 13 games, so it's probably the same. You need 1,200 to 1,000 is not a big deal anymore. So look for Houston. They've got the quarterback back. They only gave up 20 points, and they got 6 guys. Defense is you play 20 players, so they got 6 returning starters. Doesn't really mean anything because the backups played a lot anyway last year. So defense to me, the key is the quarterback and the running back. Are they back? So Houston, very good team. They open with UTSA, very good game there. UTSA, I love the Roadrunners. They got very good. So A team for Houston. So that's what we're looking for. Coach stayed the same. The coach was West Virginia. He was a good coach. They scored a lot of points. They didn't have a great defense. So this is basically 3 years ago, West Virginia, who'd score a lot. So again, at Texas Tech should be the lock over. If it's not, 75. Memphis, I got running quarterback. Seth Hennigan is a sophomore. He had 25 touchdowns and 8 picks. Thomas, the best running back, ran for 700 yards. They scored 30 points. They always score, but they gave up 30. So again, weak defense. Coach, been there 2 years. So you want to watch the new coach, the new coaching changes. Memphis should be the same. Memphis, as always. So they're just a good passing team. They're a good scoring team, but they give up a lot. So when they play a good defensive team, they're going to have trouble. When they play a good offensive team, it'll be an over. The Navy, well, we know all about the Navy. Their quarterback, Ty Levate, is back. He played last year. You don't look at his passing numbers, but his running numbers, he ran for 170 times for 371 and 7 touchdowns. Any good wins? They beat UCF, Tulsa, Temple, and the big one with Army. Losing, got killed by the Air Force, Houston. So they're okay. Defensively is their problem. They gave up 28. So they didn't score a lot, but they gave up a lot. So we got to keep our eye on the Navy. They opened with Delaware, which doesn't matter. And then Memphis. Again, Memphis, weak defense, probably be an under game. Oh, well, let's see. Last year it was 35-17. It was a 52, probably an under. So they have problems with a good passing team. SMU, love the quarterback, love the coach. The coach is we got a new coach, Rhett Lashley. Where is he from? It doesn't really say. It just says new coach, Rhett Lashley. Sometimes it'll say he was the OC or the DC of this team. I think it was a quarterback. So they have a good quarterback. They have a terrible. Well, they score 38 a game, give up 28. They got a new coach. This is the new coach. So let's look at the box score. Let's look at what's SMU doing this year. They open with North Texas. So North Texas is okay. Let's see what the score is. Are they going to put up 50 points? They should. They have the quarterback to do it. They have that style offense. The question is, Sonny Dykes' coach was a air raid. Let's throw it all over. Okay. This guy was Sonny Dykes' offensive coordinator. So SMU is going to be the same team. They're gonna throw it all over. Like Sonny Dykes is a very strong offensive coach. They score a lot. This guy was his offensive coordinator. Nothing will change. So they're going to score a lot for SMU. So it should be basically the same team. They scored 38, gave up 28. That's about what you're getting here. So what we're looking for is, are they going to change from last year? We got all of last year's stats. We know the teams are over or under. But now we got week one. We got transfers and new coaches, and did the quarterback stay? So SMU, I look like they'll be the same team. And then you saw East Carolina is now changing to an Army or a Navy team. They're going to run and run and run. And now those are the adjustments we make. But then we see the box scores. And the box scores are critical to see what's happening, right? It says, look at this Van Dyke threw 5 touchdowns and 50 points. And Miami hadn't gotten 20 in the first 3 games. That's why the stats were screwed on Miami, because Vegas just looked at the average. They didn't give the Van Dyke stat. They gave a Derek King and Van Dyke stat. So the first 3 games were in the 17 and 14 points. They didn't score. Here comes Van Dyke with the 40s. But when you blend it with the first 3 games, the over-unders are 47. They're not looking at the Van Dyke over-unders are 57, right? They're 10. So we were getting 10 points because of the quarterback change. Teaserking caught it. Most people don't. That's why we win with Teaserking. That's why I'm the professor. I see these things. Temple, running quarterback, weak new coach. The new coach, Stan Drayton. He coached Elliott at Ohio when Ohio State won it all. He will be starting mostly from scratch. So I guess he used to be the running back coach at Ohio State. I don't know. He's never coached before. And you know how I am. And you never coached before, you got to prove it to me. So I'm calling him a weak coach. I've never heard of him. And let's see, Temple. They only scored 16 a game, gave up 37. I don't see anything really changing. You got a new coach. What's he going to do? The players suck. Now you're going to maybe change. Is he going to run the Ohio State offense and defense? I don't know, but it's going to take time. Let's see, the quarterback, DeJuan Mathis, 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Obviously a running quarterback. Excuse me. So I don't see what he did running, but not a lot. Excuse me. Anyway, we can see they have a terrible defense, giving up 37. So this is a Z team, bet against it, not much offense. We'll see what plays out. Now they open at Duke, who sucks, and then Louisiana Lafayette, who lost their quarterback, Rutgers, who sucked, UMass, who sucked. So we're going to get nothing on Temple the first 4 games, not until Memphis, then UCF. This is the problem with college football, right? You got a weak team here, but they're playing weak other teams. Duke, Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette, Rutgers. You're playing the worst team in the ACC, worst team in the Big Ten, UMass, who sucks, and a pretty decent team last year with a new quarterback in the Sun Belt. So what are you going to get out of them? This is why you got to be – we'll know something after Louisiana Lafayette, but now Rutgers could beat this team, because even as bad as Rutgers, they're still a Big Ten team. Even though they're terrible in the Big Ten, now they play Temple. They got a chance for a win. You get a little better team. Again, keep an eye on them. Then we got Tulane. All I got is a running quarterback. They scored 27, gave up 34 last year. Terrible defense, decent offense. Coach Willie Fritz. Now, Willie Fritz came from Georgia Southern and runs – this is a Navy offense. Although he's coming away, Pratt threw 21 touchdowns and 8 picks. So he was a good quarterback. He's back, and he's only a sophomore. So you had a freshman quarterback last year who's now a sophomore. So they must be a little bit more balanced. Yeah, they run for 164 and pass for 220. So Willie has gone to more of a regular offense. He's not running the Georgia Southern offense, which is the Navy offense. The defense sucks. So again, another weak defensive team. Depending on the opponent, we got a good quarterback. It's going over, and they're going to score a lot. So we know that. So we're not going to play Tulane under. Tulsa, another. Who the hell are they? Coach is the same. They scored 26, gave up 26, so they're not too bad. Yeah, they lost to Cincinnati 28-20. Navy, they lost close. They did beat USF, who sucked last year. They beat Memphis. Houston killed them. Arkansas State's a good team they beat. Ohio State, they lost 40-20. So they played. That's what got you. They played Ohio State pretty good. And they beat SMU. So they beat some passing teams. So if you're ever curious, you go, well, SMU is a passing team. They beat them 34-31. Arkansas State's a passing team. They beat them 41-34. Houston's a passing team. They lost 45-10. Then we get to the defensive teams. They scored 20 on Cincinnati. So that tells you they're not too bad offensively to put up 20 on Cincinnati. Holding them to 28 is not a big deal because they didn't really have a good offense. Cincinnati, and that's why we locked them against Alabama as an under. I think we locked them. If not, we played them strong in the Alabama game because Cincinnati has this good defense and not a strong offense. Going against Alabama, we know has a good defense. Yeah, and Alabama's going to have trouble against this defense, which is exactly what happened. So we had Cincinnati, great defensive team, Michigan, and it just shows you the great defensive teams are in the playoffs. The best one won, but they still need the quarterback. You still need some balance, and that's what we got. So Tulsa, returning quarterback, 18 touchdowns, 16 picks, not great. Pretty balanced. They ran for 192, passed for 249, 26 and 26. So they're an okay team. Decent coach is still there. Quarterback is returning. Brent, he's a senior. So I don't know. Tulsa will be a nice team. You keep an eye on it. UCF lost their quarterback who got injured. He went to Oklahoma. And the new quarterback is Mikey Keene, who did play a little last year. He had 17 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in 5 or 6 games. He took over for Gabriel. Gabriel's now the Oklahoma quarterback, which we'll talk about when we talk about Oklahoma. This guy's more of a running quarterback, which I didn't realize. He still throws 17 touchdowns and 6. Oh, no, I think he's just returning. I put our quarterback or end quarterback returning or new. So, no, he's a passing, pretty open. Their defense, 24-5. Their offense, 31. They're a good team. They can score on you. Their best win, they beat Memphis. Got killed by SMU, which is a surprise. Beat South Florida. And they beat Florida. But everybody was beating Florida in the bowl game. They did beat Boise. I remember I locked Boise the first week. So they're okay. They got killed by Cincinnati. So UCF, decent team, not great. Good quarterback. Okay defense. They're okay team. USF, weak coach, F. That means he sucks. Transfer quarterback. They got Bohannon from Baylor, who was great. This shows you how good Baylor is because the quarterback who they have now beat out Bohannon, who I thought was excellent. That's why we locked Baylor once we knew he was playing. We locked him in the bowl game, and we got the W. The replacement is better. That's a load for Baylor. But, having Bohannon at USF, now they scored 23 a game, gave up 34. Bohannon will definitely get the offense up, but their defense still sucks. Jeff Scott, he's 3-18 in 2 years. What do you got this guy coaching for? This is why I tell you about the coach being an F, or I never heard of him. Here's a guy, Jeff Scott, comes in. He's a former Clemson co-offensive coordinator. How good do you think he is? It's like all the Alabama guys or the New England guys. They never are good. It's all Belichick. These guys that go out and coach are never any good. This guy's a former Clemson co-offensive coordinator. Clemson wins on defense and they run the ball. They don't, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. That's why I don't just run to Clemson and get a co-offensive coordinator and make him my coach. Like, oh, we'll have Clemson. No, the guy stinks. He's 3-18 in 2 years. What the hell is that? So he gets Bohannon. Somehow this is the best he could do is USF, South Florida. So again, nothing really. Weak defense. I'm surprised he went here, but their line's back. It looks like their whole line's back, whatever that means. See, I'm always questioning when the team gives up 34 and you got 8 returning starters on defense. Does it mean anything? I mean, they're not very good. So USF, they'll probably be an over team because Mohannon's a good quarterback, so they'll probably score more. They got 3 receivers back, a running back who ran for 671 yards, 15 touchdowns. They'll probably score more. Their defense will suck, so they give up a lot. Their first game is against BYU, probably an over. BYU is a good team, good quarterback. I'd say that's over. That is your AAC. Hi, James. Did I miss your locks on baseball? Well, I didn't have any locks, James, but let me give you the picks before I get into the ACC. The Yankees, Boston over 9.5. The Mets over 8. Baltimore over 9. Houston, St. Louis over 10. The Dodgers, the 49ers, and Texas over 8.5. I didn't play every game because some of them are just, you don't know what's going to happen. The lock yesterday was, of course, Verlander. Anytime Verlander pitches, it's a lock. You don't need me to tell you. It's an automatic. Normally, I lock McCullough on Tampa Bay. I locked him the other day. And they lost. It was like a 5-4 game. Like, this guy doesn't give up 4 runs. This is what I hate about this 100 pitch. The guy goes 6 innings, he gives up like a run, and then the bullpen comes in and gave up like 3 runs. And that's the only way you lose is if the manager beats you by pulling the best pitcher in the league out. You don't pull McCullough out. You leave him in until he got the lead, and then you go to your best bullpen guy to hold the lead. And if he has to pitch 8 innings to do it, you pitch him 8 innings. You don't give up a win with the McCullough on the mound because you go too early to your bullpen. He gives up 3 runs, you lose the game. Anyway, James, I just went through the AAC. Now I'm going through the ACC. I'll speed it up a little bit. Now here's my notes, right? This is their order of finish. They got Clemson and there's 2 divisions. They got Clemson, NC State, Wake, Florida State, BC, Louisville, Syracuse, and over here you got Miami, Pitt, North Carolina, VTech. So I put my little note, Clemson won, and I go laugh out loud. That's a joke. Clemson has the best defense in the country, maybe Georgia. And their quarterback sucks. And I like, instead of going to a new quarterback, what do? Well, we're working on the quarterback so he won't suck. He sucks. If he was any good, he'd be good. You can't work with him. Either he gets it or he doesn't get it. This guy doesn't get it. So therefore, there's nothing you can do to coach him for him to get it. He just doesn't get how to be a quarterback. And it was very apparent last year. And we're going to take advantage of Clemson under. So let's see. BC, returning quarterback. Now, this guy's good. Jerkovich. He's from Notre Dame. And he was good the year before, and he played the first few games and got injured. So with him in there, we'll see. He's good. The coach, 12-11 in 2 years. So he's not a new coach, but we'll see. They score 24 games, give up 22. So a fairly good defensive team. Okay, offensive team. Let's see. They start with Rutgers. They should beat Rutgers because Rutgers is bad, but it's a similar team. But here's where Jerkovich. should come through for us. The quarterback will be key. Clemson. So let's look at DJ Uiagalelei. 208 out of 374 for 2,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions on fucking Clemson in the ACC, where the only good defense is North Carolina State and Clemson. We didn't have to face himself, so he threw 10 picks. This is the problem. And only 9 touchdowns with this talent. So they're going to go to Will Shapley, who ran for 738 yards last year. So they're going to be becoming more of a running team. But by the way, we got 6 defensive All-Americans, and I'm talking All-Americans, not ACC All-American, ACC All-Conference. 6. So look for this team. See, here's where you're betting the coach, that he's smart enough to realize I got the best fucking defense. I am not going to take chances. I'm going to run it on 3rd and 2. And if I don't make it, I'm not going for it on 4th. I'm going to punt the ball, let my defense win it. And that will create unders for us. And we will be happily playing that. They open at Georgia Tech. What was our over-under on that game? So Georgia Tech, Clemson. Clemson was laying 14. Oh, no, that was mine. They're laying 19, which I don't understand. Well, Georgia Tech sucks. And the over-under of 50. I love the game under 56 because where's the scoring coming from? Georgia Tech stinks. I mean, they're going to get shut out in this game. That means Clemson's got to score 56 points now with this quarterback, and they're going to be running the ball. Now, their defense will probably score a touchdown or 2, but in this game, it'll probably be 35-0 Clemson. So under 50, we tease it to 56. It looks very, very strong. So I got running quarterback, terrible, no offense, good running, and exceptional Georgia defense. Coach is back. They lost their defensive coordinator. That who cares? Because the other coach sees what he's doing. Defensive coordinator is not that critical. Look at Alabama. They lose defensive coordinators every year. It doesn't matter. Even offensive coordinators, because they got the system down. Florida State. Returning quarterback Travis was pretty good. 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Last year, Mackenzie Milton played. He's had to retire, which I'm very sad. He was the best quarterback in college until he got hurt a couple of years ago. Give him credit. The guy basically has his leg ripped off and needs surgery that they might have to cut his leg off. And he comes back and plays last year. And sorry for my cold. He comes back and plays. Give him credit just to have the balls to go on the field. I remember he played against Notre Dame, but he was not the same. He couldn't really move around, and he wasn't comfortable, and psychologically he probably was dead. Well, Florida State, Mike Norvell's been there 2 years, 8-13. Again, why did he leave? I think it was at Nevada or one of these other. Why did he leave? Their team scores. Where's my stats? Scored 27, gave up 27. Not a really good defensive team, a decent offense, and they play Duquesne and then LSU. And here's where I'm really gonna have a strong play on LSU week 2. The Duquesne game, you got to forget because it doesn't matter. Duquesne, who knows? They're a high school team, as I like to say. So you're not going to gain any. They probably went 56-0. And you go, oh, look how strong. And that you can't look. The only meaningful stat is if Duquesne beats them. If Duquesne actually beat Florida State, then you could say, oh, Florida State sucks. And that happened a couple of years ago. I think Maryland lost to Division II, or somebody lost to a Division II. I think it was Minnesota lost to like North Dakota State. And they sucked. They basically were not good that year. So that does tell you when the Division II team wins, it tells you how weak the team is, how bad the coach is, because you couldn't motivate them to beat a Division II team. They took them too lightly. In this case, Duquesne, they should beat them, but then LSU with Brian Kelly is going to roll this team. They don't have a good defense, and LSU has a good quarterback, even what they say. I mean, they always have receivers. They always have running backs. They always have defense. They always have speed. More NFL defense comes from LSU. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and then Stingley, the number 3 pick, cornerback, and then Boucher, the best wide receiver in the country. He's this fast little guy, like 6 foot, and he just runs these little darts. Like he catches the ball here, and he's over here and there, boom, boom. And he's the best receiver. Good luck, Florida State. You don't have a defense. So probably an over team, 27-27. Norvell is more of an offensive coach, so I look for them. Travis will be better because he's got another year. He's a junior, so he knows what to look for. But again, this is just an over team. Louisville, another over team, returning quarterback. Malik Cunningham runs a lot. He ran for 1,000 yards. Who does that remind you of? Another Lamar Jackson. What do all these Lamar Jackson type go to Louisville? I don't know. 209 for 337, 2,900 yards, 19 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Give him credit there. Any big wins? They did beat Florida State. Wake beat them. They lost to Clemson 30-24, not bad. And they beat Duke, who's not even a Division I team anymore. They beat Syracuse, lost to Kentucky by 30 points, and they lost to my Air Force team in the bowl game. Go Air Force. So, not that great. Defense gives up 27. They scored 30. So they're an over team. Good quarterback will get them a lot of points. They open at Syracuse. I look for a win there. A lot of points. NC State, they're an A team. They score 33. They give up 19. Good quarterback in Larry. 283 out of 431 for 3,400 yards, 35 touchdowns, 5 picks. That'll only get better. That's what I'm looking for, 35-5. See, what was I telling you? Ugagli from Clemson, 10 interceptions and 9 touchdowns. This guy got 35 touchdowns and only 5 picks. Who would you rather have, right? This Larry's very good. And they score 33 points and give up 19. Big wins. Beat Clemson 27-21. Just to score 27 on Clemson last year was a big thing. They lost to Miami. That was a good game, 31-30. That shows you how good Van Dyke is. He put 31 points up on this defense. They beat Louisville, beat Florida State, and then they beat North Carolina 34-30. They weren't in a bowl game. I think it probably got canceled. Anyway, strong offense, strong defense, good coach. 9 returning on a strong defense, and they got their quarterback. They lost their running back, but he wasn't, 700 yards. Very, very strong team at East Carolina. Look for them to blow out the East Carolina Army team. But there you go. This is what we're looking for. This is an A team, right? Good quarterback, strong defense. I'm sure they'll be able to run the ball. They ran for 126 and threw for 280. So they're going to be mostly passing with the short running, I think. They're not really relying on the running, but they do convert. Very good defense, only 330 yards. This is a very strong team. Syracuse, returning quarterback, strong running back, and Tucker. Tucker ran for 1,500 yards. This is what you need to note. Here's the Syracuse. Their running back got 1,500 yards. The quarterback, Schrader, he's returning 123 out of 234. So it's 123 completions, 234, 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns. So not a really good quarterback. I think their main guy transferred. Dogie, I think, was the quarterback. Went from Bowling Green to Syracuse because the coach is from Bowling Green. And it's funny, in Bowling Green, they scored 45 points a game. They go to Syracuse. Last year, he averaged 25. But his defense, he doesn't know how to coach defense, gave up 26. So they're a decent team. They're a good running team. So they're also a Navy. They're going to run, ball control, play to their strength. Their quarterback is a junior, Schrader. So again, nothing special with Syracuse. Their biggest win last year. Uh, Here's what I'm talking about. They beat Albany 62-24. You have to throw those stats out because against Liberty, they scored 24. Against Wake, they put up 37. 14 on Clemson is probably their best game. They lost 17-14. They beat Virginia Tech. And then they lost to Louisville, NC State, and Pitt. So against the better teams, they lost. And that's how you look at them. If they play, this is how you look at a lot of teams. If they play a weak team, yeah, they win. When they play the really strong teams, they lose. And that's so who are they playing? It's like poker. Who am I playing against? Am I playing against the bluffer or am I playing against some tight guy who never bluffs? And that's what you determine. So when a tight guy makes a big bet, you fold. Unless you have the nuts, you fold. And when a weak guy who bluffs a lot makes a big bet, yeah. So that's why, like, when you watch poker on TV, it's all about who are they playing against, and then what does that guy do? And you don't see all that. So you see the guy make a stupid call, and it's because he's playing a bluffer, or he makes a good laydown because he's playing a guy who's tight, who made a big bet, and he knows, well, this guy doesn't bluff or very often, or he's not going to bluff here. He's got it. My hand's okay. And that's why he gets out, is you're playing the player. That's what Syracuse is. So when they play Albany, Liberty, they play Virginia Tech, BC, they get the W. And when they play Florida State, Wake, Clemson, they're going to lose. So anyway, they scored 24, give up 26. They're an even team. I don't know what else to call teams like this. They're scoring 25 a game, giving up 26. What do you do with them? So I don't know. Wake Forest over, great quarterback. Hartman, 299 out of 508, 4,000 yards, 39 touchdowns, 14. Very strong over. The only time they had an issue was against Clemson. They still scored 27 points, but I think he had some turnovers there. They scored 55 on North Carolina, 45 on NC State. They did not play Miami, and they are not playing Miami. Shit. That's what you look for, is this team against Miami, and it'd be 120 points in the game. No, but they scored 70 on Army. Oh, my God. NC State, so that's your barometer. They scored 45 on NC State, 27 on Clemson, 41 on BC, 21 on Pitt. So they were okay, but their defense is weak. That's why they're in over. They scored 41, gave up 29. Great quarterback. Running back, non-existent, but they don't need one. Duke, I'll just real quick. They got a new coach, weak defense, new quarterback, and he's a running quarterback. Their quarterback is Riley Leonard. Never heard of him. Nothing. 381 yards, one touch, one interception. He is a sophomore, so he's a freshman, and he ran 47 times for 173 yards. They gave up 40 points a game and scored 22. This is your Z team in the ACC. We're going to bet against them. Georgia Tech, another Z team. Scored 23, gave up 33. And they got Jeff Sims back as their quarterback. 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. And he likes to run 70 times for 372. He was 113 out of 188 for 1,400 yards. So there's really no offense. Score 20, but their defense sucks. So that's what we're looking for. New coach, weak coach, Jeff Collins. Well, he's been there a few years. He's a weak coach, weak defense. Miami, we know all about. Great quarterback, number 1 or 2 in the country. It's 10 games, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,000 yards. That's what we're looking for. Very strong. Their defense gave up 28, which makes them a perfect over team. The new coach, Cristobal from Oregon, I never thought he was that great of a coach there. We got to be careful what he does to the defense. Will be the key. We know Van Dyke. Now, is he going to fuck that up and start running the ball? This you got to be careful with. So, again, watch what the new coach does to fuck the team up. Now, is he going to take the ball out of Van Dyke's hands? Hopefully not. Is he going to make more of a running team? How's the defense going to be? So we don't know. They open with Bethune-Cookman. They'll win 69-0. We won't learn. Southern Miss, we might learn. We'll really learn against Texas A&M week 3. That's when we're going to take our notes and see what's this new coach. How did he screw up our team? So are they an off? Southern Miss should be an over. They're not going to be able to stop Van Dyke. It's up to the coach running them too much. So we'll see if they run. Their best runner is Knighton. Ran for 561 yards. So no real runner like, oh, this guy's going to run for 1,500 yards. Let's become a running team. So hopefully he won't screw up too much. But he is a former Miami player, which they ran with Jimmy Johnson. So he knows they passed with Jimmy Johnson. So I wouldn't the real deal. And then their defense gives up 28 a game. He might make it a little bit better. So they might go to an A team or they might still be an over team. It might take him a year. But Van Dyke is just a sophomore. I love it. So we got him this year. We got him next year. Stays healthy. North Carolina, new quarterback's a freshman. You got to be careful. We don't know how he's going to play. And then we got a weak defense and no offense. So they scored 35 a game last year, gave up 32. Sam Howell's gone. He was only 24-9, so I don't know the big deal about Sam Howell. And the new kid, Drake May, was 7-10. So we don't know, but the defense sucks. So Mac Brown's upset because they played like shit. That you can't coach. So we'll see what happens with North Carolina. We'll have to see the new quarterback, but being a freshman, probably a running quarterback. Let's see, did he run? He didn't really run he didn't really play much. So we'll see if they're going to have him be a running quarterback or a regular thrower. We'll watch the stats. They open with Florida A&M, again, a Division II team. Won't show as much. At Appalachian State's going to show us everything because they're a very strong team, App State. They're the number one Sun Belt. And they play like the North Carolina States, and they play them very tough because they're in North Carolina, Appalachian State. That'll teach us everything. I wouldn't be surprised if App State wins. If we can get App State with more than 14 points as a lock, because I don't have a quarterback who's going to bother me on North Carolina. And whatever stats he does against Florida A&M will only tell us if they're a passing team or not. So if he throws the ball 50 times, all right, he's a passing. If he throws it 10 times and they run it 60 times, we don't really know much. We'll see against App State because that's a very good team that could easily beat them. Pittsburgh. Now here, they got rid of Pickett, all right? He went on. He had 42 touchdowns and 7 picks. He played all 4 years. Decent quarterback. Now you got Slovis, who's great from USC, who got injured. This guy's the real deal from Kurt Warner's camp. Kurt Warner taught him. I loved Slovis. I loved him at USC. Then he got hurt. They went to a new offensive coordinator, so they're gonna play more running and ball control. But when the shit's on the line, I look for them to go to Slovis. He's a very good quarterback. He's a senior now. We all know Pitt was very strong last year. 41 points, 23, gave up 23 on defense. They were an A team. I look for them to be still strong defensively because if they're going to go to ball control, it means the defense will be sitting more. They won't give up as many points. So I would think their defense will give up like 20 and they'll score like 35 or 30. Because Slovis should not hurt you offensively. Not much running, a couple of runners, 600 yards. The best receiver, Addison, 100 balls for 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns. He's back. And their second one's back, 658, 6 touchdowns. So look for Pitt to be pretty strong again defensively. They got 7 back, but really, the quarterback's a junior, I'm sure played. A linebacker's a junior, I'm sure he played. A senior defensive tackle. So you basically got all your defense back on a pretty good defensive team. They did beat Clemson, so that helps last year, 27-17. They lost to my Miami team, 38-34. But it was right after Clemson. So here's where I go into. Jesus. Excuse me. It's summer cold. So beating Clemson was good. Now, what happened, right? They beat Clemson, get Miami the next week with Van Dyke, and they lose 38-34. That's what happens to you when you get a big win. You always let down. It's an emotional thing you can't avoid. We beat Clemson. Now we got Miami. Well, there's no Clemson. And so you're all excited about that. Then they lost to Michigan State in the bowl game when nobody played. So I was going to lock Pitt over Michigan State, but then Pickett sat out. So he's not going to be a good pro because he doesn't have passion for the game. Otherwise, why would you sit out a game? Passion's about you want to do it because you love it. To sit out a bowl game tells me you don't love it. So I don't see this guy being anything in the pros, Pickett. But I do see, so you got to be careful. They beat Clemson, lose to Miami, then they killed Duke. So there you go. So they win a big game. They're flat the next week. And then they're mad about the loss and kill Duke. And that's exactly what happens. So when you play a big game and you lose it, when you win it, you're going to be a little flat the next week. And then after a loss, that's why I like watching that. You then get pissed and you kill the next team. So I'll look for Pitt to be very good coach, great quarterback still. They're going to run it more. They open against West Virginia. I think they will beat West Virginia because Slovis, he's not a freshman. He'll know what to do. Even if they run the ball more, and eventually, if the game's on the line, Slovis will throw. So ball control sounds good, but as the game goes on, now if they're winning, the ball control is good. If they're losing, you can't keep running, but you have Slovis to bail you out. So look for Pitt to be strong, good defense. Virginia, Brendan Armstrong, 31 touches, 10 interceptions. He's okay. I don't think he's better than Van Dyke. The coach left. So Brock Mendenhall from BYU comes here. He leaves. He quits. Tony Elliott, first season, new coach. I call him weak. I don't think Virginia. They scored 34 a game, gave up 31. If they had no defense with Brock Mendenhall, they're not going to have a defense with Tony Elliott. Tony Elliott doesn't say where he's from. Tony Elliott, the former Clemson offensive coordinator. So again, a weak coach. Why would you make him a head coach? Because he was an offensive coordinator at a defensive school. I don't get it. So Virginia will do nothing with this guy. They'll be an over team. They'll be a high scoring team with no defense. Virginia Tech, new coach, the Penn State defensive coordinator, new quarterback, Wells, who transferred from Marshall. Wells will be okay. The new coach, defense. So it'll be more of a defensive. They went to the offensive coach and that. Did you go over week 0 college football yet? It's like 3 weeks away. I did on another video, Don. Okay, I've talked about the baseball before, but I'll quickly do that for you, Don. Baseball picks today. The Yankees, Boston over 9.5. The Mets over 8. Baltimore over 9. Houston. St. Louis over 10. The Dodgers, the 49ers, and Texas over 8.5. I don't have anything locked. Week 1, I kind of touched on last week's video. It'll say college football. This week, I kind of went over baseball. I went over gold and the market and what's happening in China earlier after baseball. And now I'm doing the football. I'm almost done with, I guess this is my last team, Virginia Tech. So I did the AAC. Now I'm doing the ACC. And then we'll do 2 more conferences tomorrow, building up to the season. But week one's a kind of a lot of weak teams playing, but I can revisit that probably tomorrow. So Virginia Tech, they got a new coach, Penn State defensive coordinator. So he'll bring in a defense mentality. The new quarterback is from Marshall. We'll see how he does. So he's not new. Well, he's a sophomore, so he was a freshman last year, so he's okay. Marshall was pretty good last year, but we'll see what happens. Again, with the new coach, you never know how they're going to be unless it's I know how Brian Kelly's going to be from Notre Dame to LSU. He'll be fine. I don't know how Brett Fry from Penn State's going to be. That's a whole different thing. So Virginia Tech, we got to watch. They open at Old Dominion in BC, so we'll see. Tomorrow we go to the Big 12. So again, talking about we just gave the baseball. That was the football. So again, we're watching the team. We watch the box scores against good teams. So I don't care what Syracuse does against Albany, but I do care what they do against North Carolina State. And when you beat a good team, that tells you a lot. Like Pitt beat Clemson last year, and then look what happened. They were very good. So you need that one win to give you the confidence. And a lot of teams don't have the confidence. They get up against the big team. I do look for Baylor to be top 5. My top 5 will be Georgia and Baylor and Ohio State, and LSU will be there, and Alabama you put there just because they pay their players so well that they always seem to get really good players. They run the 74 Steeler defense. That's all this guy knows. He was a disciple of Perlis, who was the defensive coordinator for the Steelers. So that's where he learned defense, was from Perlis. So what you see is the 74 Steelers on Alabama. That's why they're pretty good every year, but it's the system. And then their offense is killing their defense with too much passing. They don't rest their defense enough, although they do have good running backs, which helps. So if they can become balanced, more of the Joe Montana 49er type of teams, then yeah, they wouldn't be beat. But I still see Georgia strong, and I still see Cincinnati will fall off, but I see Georgia very strong. I see Baylor very strong, Ohio State, Alabama, LSU. Those are really your top 4 or 5 teams. Fresno State will be very good in their league. UCLA will probably win the Pac-10. USC, Oklahoma's too gimmicky. It's just everybody runs deep and the quarterback runs. Okay, that's been there, done that. They do really good in the playoff games when the defense can't stop the wind, because when they play real teams with real offenses, they can't do anything. But the good teams with good defenses shut them down. So that's what you have there. So right now we're looking, are they offensive teams or the defensive teams? Teams with new coaches. Will Miami continue to be an over team with this new coach? Is he going to fuck up Van Dyke and run more, or change the plays, or just let him go, realize this guy's great, and then we'll see what he does to the defense. So we'll see if there's still a good over team. The over teams, you want a good quarterback. You want Wake Forest, Van Dyke. Miami, they score a lot, but their defense isn't that good. That's the over that you want, because the other team can score, then they'll score. You get into a track race and it goes 80 points. That's what you want in an over team. The under teams are like Georgia and Clemson, great defenses, no offense, no quarterbacks. Although Georgia is probably more of an A team, but they're still, you just couldn't score on them. So that's an exceptional defense where you're not scoring on them. Anyway, so again, the whole world's crumbling. The gold price, don't worry about it in terms of COMEX. It's paper. They're doing it because they just don't understand gold like we do. There are different types of economics. There's Keynesian, which is socialism, and Austrian, which is market. We're free market. Gold's very valuable. It is money. It's something that you will hold its value. And basically the dollar is printed, and it just is, you're printing a lot, so it loses value. And that's what happens. So be careful. Get out of the stock market, housing market, with the interest rates are going up. These interest rates, the Fed does, the effect will be nothing. It's not going to stop inflation. It's going to kill the economy, and it won't last. They might do one more, and then they're going to say, let's see what happens, and then it'll stop, and that'll be it. Because if they keep going, they won't have an economy to ruin. It'll already be ruined because raising interest rates is making things cost more. So why do you want things to cost more? You want to slow the economy. Why do you want to slow the economy? You don't want to slow the economy. They're trying to slow inflation with raising interest rates, but it doesn't work. The idea is I raise interest rates, people put their money back in the bank, then I can destroy the money. Now there's less money, and then everything goes down. But they can't raise rates enough. I'm not putting my money in the bank because I'm taking my money out of the bank. I'm buying gold and silver because that holds its value. That's real money. And it's in terms of the dollar. So as the dollar slides, the gold goes up. They're repressing it because they don't want it, but it's not going to be able to hold eventually. All the problems in Europe and Japan and China and Germany and Italy and Greece, Pakistan's going broke, Sri Lanka, 35 countries in Africa and Asia going broke. They're all going to go to gold because that's all they can do, because your currency sucks. So therefore, at the end of the day, gold will go through the roof. At first, it'll be priced in U.S. dollars. Then it won't be priced in U.S. dollars. It'll just be, I'll go buy a. My thing is going to buy a Mercedes with an ounce of gold, and they'll be so happy to get real money. They'll do it because they don't want U.S. dollars because it'll hurt the value. So what you'll see happening is people running to the store to buy it before the price goes up because the currency keeps going down. That's what will happen. So anyway, be aware of that. And that's about it. So buy your gold and silver. I'm off to go buy some now. I gave you baseball one more time. The Yankees, Boston over 9.5. The Mets over 8. Baltimore over 9. Houston, St. Louis over 10. The Dodgers, they'll be careful with Kershaw. 49ers and Texas over 8.5. I don't love any of these. They're good. If you're looking to make a bet, you want some action, bet them small. We can't bet a lot on baseball like we do on football. There's too many games and they play every day. Try to bet streaks. Try to increase your bankroll, but just have fun with it. It's really rough. Right now, we bet against pitchers. Like we lock Verlander every time, McCullough. You just got to be careful with your pitchers. But that's the bet, right? A good pitcher is like a good defense in football. He'll shut you down. That's all you can do. So be careful with that. Anyway, I think that's about it. Tomorrow we'll do a couple more football. We'll look at week 1 for you, Don, and for everybody else. And basically we'll go. So again, don't worry about the interest rate hikes. They'll have one more and then that'll be it because they'll bankrupt the country and they'll bankrupt the currency, which the banks will not like, and the banks control the government. They will also not go to a digital currency because then the banks would go away and the banks run everything. JP Morgan especially, so they will never let that happen. They'll just simply, I assume, come out with a new currency after they fuck this one up. We'll be sitting there with gold and silver watching the value go through the roof because you fucked up the fake money for the real money. So the real money has the value and goes up. Right now they want everybody in the U.S. dollar as a monopoly, so they don't want you in gold. But as that starts slipping, the monopoly turns into gold and silver, not the U.S. dollars and all the fake dollars going out throughout the world. And keep that in mind. So don't pay any attention to these interest rates. They're not going to affect gold and silver at all. And anything, nobody sells gold because the U.S. dollar, because they raise the interest rate 1/4 or 0.5%. Nobody's selling their gold at this price. Anybody that knows to buy gold knows it's going to be $20,000, $30,000 an ounce. So why would you sell it for $1,900? Why would anybody sell it for $1,900 when you know it's going up to $30,000? All you want to do now, it's not an investment. It's an asset. It's real money. So you're buying money. in which case, this money will be stronger than the money that's being printed, that has no backing, that's just paper. This will go through the roof. It's just a matter of time, but it's not a stock. It's not Microsoft, but the market will crash. And that's really what'll happen. Costs go up. I read something on McDonald's that they raise their sales are down because nobody can afford $10 for McDonald's. What's going to happen to their stock, right? But that's going to happen to everybody. Your prices go up. People only have so much money. They got to pay for gas and food at the grocery store and clothes and whatever else and their utilities and rent. You know what? I can't afford this. I can't afford it. I'm not going to go buy an iPod. I would bet Apple stock gets crushed when they try to sell $1,500 iPods. Who the hell's got $1,500 extra for an iPod? I can go to Walmart and buy a $150 phone. Okay, I need status. Well, no, I need to eat and I need to pay rent because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, and that's what's going to happen. So the reason I say buy gold and silver now is before you can't find it, because once the shit hits the fan, and the shit's hitting the fan pretty quickly, you're not going to find gold and silver. It's not going to be there on the shelf, and it's going to be $20,000 for an ounce. Right now, you can get it for $18.50. Buy it while it's there. You've got to look forward and say, this is going to be $20,000 an ounce, not, oh, well, it's only 18 now, I'll buy it later. No, it's not like a pair of shoes that I can buy later. It's not going to be there. So anyway, have a great day. Good luck on baseball today, football. Keep an eye on Miami and these other teams. And really right now it's review time until we get box scores. Is Miami going to be a different team? Is Wake Forest? Are my over teams going to change to an A team? Or they're going to run ball more? Are my running teams going to change to pay? So you got to keep in mind, how's the defenses? Is Clemson's defense going to shut out everybody? And Georgia's? And, what's going to happen? So that comes in the box score. So we're just preparing. All right, everybody, have a great day. Again, www.teaserking.com with any questions and comments, or get my email. Please feel free to email me. If you're a returning customer, I am giving a discount for the year as a returning customer, goodwill type of thing. So let me know. But the prices are out on Teaserking. If you go to the purchase picks, you'll see the football weekly. If you want pros, college, locks, or both. Both gives you everything, obviously, and both for the year is extremely well priced considering the pros for the year, the college for the year, and then the both for the year. So that's probably your best bargain. All right, everybody, have a great day. Have a great I'll talk to you tomorrow around the same time. Okay, thank you for watching, and enjoy your day, and just, try to relax. Okay.